letting somebody knock you down and stay down. I mean, we've had our fair share of no-goes also. Everybody can remember the horror that was Taco John's in Hopkinsville for us. I mean, it was a couple of years worth of disaster, but I mean, it was, in business, there's always a chance you're going to make a wrong move, and it can be hard and it can be brutal, and it took maybe a year for me to mentally recover from the mistake that was made there. And
hey, I'm going to tell you what I love about that, though. I messed with Cray the other day because he was out there doing the sign. And I said, I love that he's the one out there with that stick changing the letters on the sign. No, but I mean, it's, there's not some 16-year-old kid out there doing it. It's you guys doing it.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I said, that, to me, that's mad respect. I mean, because that's something that is hard to do, especially when you're juggling all that you're juggling, to be able to do all of that. Of course, me and the Sierra chicken have a relationship. I'm not going to lie.
And it's gone again.
I know. It broke my heart the other day. But I will tell you, too, there is a lady that works at, and I called her out the other day on the air, and I want to say it because she's sweet. And every time I go, the biggest smile on her face. Christy is amazing, and I love that woman. And I talk to her all the time. She just doesn't realize it. We've
got some great staff over at Taco John's. We've got, I said, for fast food, the tenure of our employees is phenomenal. We've got almost our entire crew has been there at least a year, if not a couple of years. And Annetta Jo's been there longer than the building.
Oh, my goodness.
She's been there forever, and we love her to death. She takes care of us. If I need anything, I call her. Anything. Her daughter babysits our kids half the time now.
See, I love that. But that's what it takes, though, a lot of times, is to be a team, is you've got that family connection with each other.
Right.
I think there's a bond that happens with people that work good together, and I think that is really what makes any kind of business successful.
Oh, yeah.
Is the people getting along and working together good.
When I said I know I'm not easy to work for, I know that because I'm picky and want things done a certain way, and rather high strung, but I know I'm not easy to work for, but I tell them all the time. I mean, I won't ask them to do anything I haven't done. I've done it all. I've done everything you can do in there. That doesn't mean I'm doing it again. I'm going to ask you to do it now, but I've done it all. There's not anything and I think most of our staff knows that. There's nothing in there that we are going to ask them to do that we haven't at least done once. And
what is the hardest cake or cookie or anything that you've had to mold? What's the one that you said, you know what, this one's going to kill me?
It's when I look back, there are some that I did a while back that I thought were just, when I got done with them, I hated them.
It's at 2:00 in the morning. You're crying, pulling your hair out.
Yeah, it's horrible. I had very few people know this, but I had a Dr. Seuss cake that hit the counter about 3 hours before it was supposed to be done.
Oh my goodness.
I had a friend there with me, luckily, to talk me off the ledge so I could start it all over again because it was a disaster. It was actually for the Siglers. She probably didn't even know that. I had to redo that cake in the middle of the morning.
Good morning,
Carolyn. Let's see, lately, I think probably and it wasn't even that it was hard, it was that I don't know the show. The Stranger Things. I've done 2 Stranger Things cakes in the last couple of weeks.
My son loves that show.
My son and my husband love it, but I'd never watched the show.
I haven't either.
So I was trying to pick brains to see what was even going to go on
this cake. You and I
just
need to catch up is what it is.
Apparently. But I had to pick brains to see what was going to go on the cake. I mean, it turned out amazing. I loved it. But it just, both the figures are the most fun part of that cake, but you can't just put a figure on and call it good. There had to be a cake to go with it. And
was
I knew
there a
nothing
telephone
about
anywhere on it?
No telephones. Let's see. We had lights.
That's
we
the
had
one
waffles.
episode I've seen. The one episode I've seen was with the phone and the mom.
Yeah, so and like I said, I don't know the show at all. So I'm picking the brain of an 8-year-old boy. What needs to go on this cake? Because he loves the show, so he could tell me. But, carved cakes. I've got a competition in Atlanta this weekend, and that's the hardest one I've done recently.
Oh my!
And of course,
goodness.
I can't post pictures or anything till after we compete. Judging. I mean, there's always a chance one of the judges will see your Facebook or something, so you can't post anything till after you compete.
But we won't tell anybody.
But that one will be amazing. It just. I finally wrapped it up last night. It has to be 85% edible material, but due to the time constraints on me getting one done and still fulfilling orders for this week, I did it all on Rice Krispie treats instead of cake.
I started to say, how sick of Rice Krispie treats are you now?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, they taste like cardboard to me at this point.
See? Well, when I was a kid, said, back in the day we had a Dairy Queen right up here. God bless Ken, and that was where my one of my first jobs was. And I when I went home, I didn't want ice cream.
Yeah, I totally.
So
get
I mean,
that.
it was one of those things that I think I got tired of. Do you ever get tired of it?
Well, I don't eat cake. I don't like cake.
See, I think it's
Now, brownies, cookies, those get me in trouble. The key lime pies, those things get me in trouble. But cake,
They
I
get me in
pretty
trouble,
much stay
too.
away from. And I used to snack a lot on the Rice Krispie treats when I was making like carb stuff, but I just almost can't eat those anymore either. So tacos, it doesn't go. I mean, I can eat a taco every day. I'll still go over there and get tacos for lunch today.
Girl,
it doesn't
it is
happen with
nothing-
tacos.
by 9:30, that's usually when they see me up there. Because my 9:30 is everybody else's lunchtime,
Right,
you know?
right.
But I'll tell you, kudos to you. I think you've done a wonderful job here in Princeton. And I think that that's such a great story, is that, it's a woman in small business here that has really turned everything around. And it based off of something that you love doing. And it's that old saying that if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I love that, because that's something that I'm hoping you're still loving.
I do. I love it. And I tell people all the time, it still ends up being work. At some point, you're still like, oh,
Right.
I'd just like to go to bed. I've got to finish this order. But loving it helps a lot, because you're doing something that's fun and enjoyable. And, that helps a lot. We're looking forward. Anybody who's driven downtown lately has seen our scaffolding all over the street. And we're looking forward to the expansion of Cathy's Confection.
I've
and the
heard
expansion
that
into
maybe
the
there's
restaurant.
some other local people that are involved in that, maybe helping out. Different
Well,
businesses.
I was going to say, we've got Princeton Lumber Company that I think they're our go-to anytime we build anything like that. They built both of our Taco John's restaurants, the one here and the one in Hopkinsville. They were the contractors for it. We try as much as we can to stay local. So I think all their subcontractors, almost all of them are local. If there's somebody local who does it, we've used them. So, most of our stuff is coming from Cole Lumber. We've got local electricians, local plumbers, all that. I mean, we try to keep it as local as we can. I've always said, whether we want to admit it in Princeton or not, when the I-69 corridor finally does finish up, whenever that happens to be, Princeton is probably the closest small town that's right on top of that I-69 corridor.
Right.
And it's going to expand whether we like it or not. So the problem with expansion in a town like ours is you can do it internally and keep the money here.
Right.
Or you can go ahead and let these big businesses come in from out of town
Right.
and expand. And when they expand, they take all that money back with them. So the more local people we can get to invest in our town and help our town expand, the less likely that money will end up leaving the town to a big business instead.
Preach, woman. Preach it.
So yeah,
I'm with you.
I said, there's no, I've heard people want to get on. Well, you're competing with so and so. We're not competing with anybody. The more of us there are, the better off we are.
So and so doesn't know your name, and they don't know what is that. The whole how's your mama and them? They don't know my mama. You know what I mean? But if I go into someplace local, chances are, I went to school with them, or maybe their kids, or we know each other, and that's what I love about it. That what was it? The hashtag shop local there for a while.
Well, I mean, your local stores are the ones that are sponsoring all the kids' sports in the area. They're the ones sponsoring all the youth activities.
We
the
just
big
had
businesses are
trick-or-treat.
doing that. Yeah,
you
the
know-
trick or treat downtown was. I didn't get to go because we were doing our free tacos or our free kids meals at Taco John's. But my kids did go, and I'd always said they needed to close that street. It was so dangerous, and they closed the street this year. I heard it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, it was fantastic. We, I think last year, Coda said that we had about 1,500 last year. Easy over 2,000, easy. And that was before 5 o'clock ever hit. I mean, when we were setting up at 4 o'clock, that, it wasn't supposed to start till 4:30, and they were already going. I mean,
Right.
it was so much fun, and you got to see everybody, and that's what a small town is supposed to feel like.
They did the small town trick or treat, and then we gave away. This is our 4th year doing free kids meals at Taco John's. We had over 200 kids meals go out.
Wow.
That Halloween night. So it's kind of nice. Keep all these local kids, and they come in and they're so excited. And my staff gets into it. They were all dressed up. Everybody was so excited, and we know it's going to be busy, but everybody just embraces it and goes with it. And it was a blast.
I think that's going to be so much. I'll tell you, I love that, and I love that aspect to it. That's something that's close to my heart. But I will say it's not necessarily a bad thing when you stretch your legs either. And that's something else that she's done recently, really stretched those legs. But I think it's great because that also brings attention to Princeton as well.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about that in a minute because I wanted to make sure that we focused on both because you know what? You're successful before you ever stretched your legs. And we appreciate that. And we wanted to recognize your hard work and everything that you've done in our community. So we appreciate that part.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Although we are excited about the next part too.
The next part's a little exciting.
The next part's a lot of exciting. Hey, we're going to try to check in with Ty over at Trice Hughes in between so that he can make it back because I know he's excited for you too. I do kind of want to selfishly keep her all to myself, but I'm going to share her with Ty and everybody else here in just a few minutes. So, hey, come on back. We're going to check in with Ty, hopefully, and we're going to be right back with Cathy Lewis and Coffee Talk on 1580 103.3 WPKY. Fifteen 103.3 WPKY, Tess and Ty and Coffee Talk. And Ty is over there at Trice Hughes, and we're having a little bit of technical difficulties this morning. So we'll check back in with him in just a little bit. But we still got Cathy Lewis with us, of course, from Cathy's Confections. And I'll tell you, we've been talking a lot about her and Cray and the kids and why she got into this whole thing to begin with and what got her there, and it's just out of your love for basically your kids too, right?
Right, absolutely. They're the ones that keep me going, and they're my checks and balances because kids are brutally honest.
Yeah.
So when you make something and it's not perfect, they'll sure let you know. So you have to strive for perfection with them.
It's that look that you get that, yeah, you did good, Mom.
Yeah. No, mine don't even do that. They just look at you and go, no, it's not right.
Well, now, how in the world do you get any bigger than what you've already done locally? You went and got yourself on TV.
Yeah, I did. I had back in the summer a friend actually from my daughter's dance group, one of the moms, sent me a link to apply to Food Network for a show, and the link she sent me was applications for California only. So I said, well, I can't apply to that one, but I'll apply to Food Network again for you. I've done that. It's been years ago. I applied to Food Network to try to be on Cake Wars, and I think 5 or 6 years ago, and never made it past submitting my video. And this time sent in the application and got an email back asking for a video submission. Thought I was out of luck because it was in the middle of national competition this summer, and I submitted my video a day after deadline.
Oh my goodness!
So I thought, well, that's that. They'll never come back now. A few weeks later, I was at lunch with Cray. We were over at Breezy Hill eating lunch, and the phone rang, and it was the casting place, which is called Super Delicious Casting. They do casting for Food Network. Calling to see if I had availability to leave in about 2 weeks. And to say that producers liked my work, but they wanted to see more, and I needed to submit more photos. About 2 days later, they sent over contracts and said they wanted me on Holiday Wars. So lots of people know about Halloween Wars. It's Food Network's largest viewed show every year.
I think all of us know about every cake thing they've ever. It's so much fun to watch, though.
Oh, it is. And Halloween Wars has been something I've watched for years and years, and it's fantastic. And Holiday Wars is kind of a continuation of Halloween Wars. They've moved into the holiday season, but it's set up much the same way. There's not a pumpkin carver on Holiday Wars, but it's 3 cake artists and a sugar artist per team, and 5 teams that compete to win a big prize. So
now, do you choose your team?
You do not. It's random. They assign your team. We met our teams via the phone about 2 weeks before competition.
Oh my!
So most people didn't have any idea who their teammates were until that moment. Most of them had never met before.
So you really don't know each other's strengths and weaknesses, or who does chocolate really well, or anything like that.
No, I hit kind of a lucky little scoop on mine, and all 3 of my teammates have been on Food Network before.
Oh wow!
And since I'm an avid Food Network fan, I had seen them on Food Network before. So. All of them were kind of repeat customers as far as cake competitions had gone. Our sugar artist competed on Halloween Wars as a sugar artist a few years back.
Wow.
One of the other cake artists had competed on Halloween Wars as well as a couple other shows. And then the other cake artist had competed on Winter Cakes All, which was a very short run show, but he had competed on it.
I will tell you, on the Halloween Wars thing, there were some pumpkins that looked like real pumpkins. I mean,
oh, yeah, they're incredible.
There's so many of them that you cannot tell the difference between the real thing, if it was sitting right beside it, and the cake version.
Right. And they do, we all do the basic carve your holes in your pumpkins, and they do this ridiculous fancy carved where they go into the different depths on the pumpkins. I tried my hand at it this year. I'm going to go ahead and stick with cakes.
I can't draw that stuff on paper, let alone carve it into a pumpkin.
And it's the reverse of what the rest, like cakes, you build them up.
Right.
So your characteristics build from the bottom up, and the pumpkin is reverse. Characteristics go from the top down. And I could not, apparently I need to stick with cakes. The pumpkin did not go well.
Are you nervous? I mean, was that something? Now, is it already filmed?
It's already filmed. Yeah, they film them in advance because they have to for editing's sake.
Right.
Halloween Wars actually films a full year in advance.
Oh my goodness!
Because they have to do it during pumpkin season.
Wow.
So,
I didn't think about that, but I guess
they have to do it during pumpkin season, and in order to have time to edit, they can't do it this pumpkin season and air it this pumpkin season. So,
let me just tell you, this is live. It is November 11th, or no, it's not. It's November 4th.
Taking a whole week
we
from
are
us there.
completely live. We're not a year in advance. I don't. How do you keep those things up? Because the higher the cake, closer to Jesus. I am that, but I mean, those things are like the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah, there's all kinds of structure involved, and I think I spend as much money in Lowe's as I do anywhere else when I'm doing a cake like that.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I mean, there are structures involved, or it's either that or your cake will collapse. I mean, the structural integrity is probably the hardest thing about those shows.
Oh, and you put so much work into it, and then it falls over. That's got to be heart-wrenching, though.
Yeah, we saw some, you'll see it on the show because there's not a lot I can say about what happened on the show because of contracts, but you'll see a lot of that where things fall and things break, and it's heart-wrenching. I mean, your heart stops, you're on a time clock, and it's devastating to watch it happen.
Those
especially
shows are so much fun, though.
Oh,
I mean, they really are, because the creativity, some of that on the Halloween Wars. Of course, I think a lot of people kind of got an idea what she was going to be doing on TV because they watched her and caught you in a preview of the Holiday Wars, right? But it was playing during Halloween.
Right, the last Halloween Wars episode, and we kind of figured the commercials might start because basically after we went and filmed, even before we went and filmed, we weren't allowed to say anything. We couldn't say we were filming. We couldn't say we were on
Why don't you tell everybody you went?
Well, I didn't. So I'm sure Princeton had all kinds of rumors going around, but I didn't. I kind of just disappeared, and very, very few people knew where I was, and none of that could be public information.
Did you tell the 8-year-old? That's what I want to know.
My kids knew, but my kids too.
Mine would have told on me in 2 seconds flat.
Two of my kids, my two girls, filmed as extras in Logan Lucky, which was a Channing Tatum movie.
Aww.
So they had been told numerous times during that movie about the confidentiality agreement. We couldn't talk about it, and they watched another little girl's parents post up pictures and basically get cropped from the entire movie.
Oh, wow.
So they knew it was pretty serious.
So they kind of know what that means.
They knew we weren't allowed to say anything, and they know how far I made it in competition, and they know they're still not allowed to say that.
Oh, mine would have told on me anyway. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He would have found a way, and it would have been CJ. It wouldn't have been Abby. Would have been. She will take a secret to her deathbed. CJ Cowan, however. He would tattle on me. But that's got to be exciting for your kids too, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, and of course we had the commercial came out, the last Halloween Wars episode, and it was 4 days later, half of them were taking cupcakes to school. So they were pretty happy that they were taking
I
in
would imagine.
celebrity cupcakes.
I bet you have suddenly become the most wanted cupcake mama in the land.
Well, and I said, it's nothing I haven't done before. I've always sent treats to school for them, and I said I'll continue to do so. I've had a lot of people in this town who have stood behind me for years and have promoted our business and helped share my posts, and we've got the new building going up, and numerous people that have said so many good things and shared so much information trying to get other people aware that we're building the new restaurant, and the town has really been behind me for a long time. So it's a lot of people. I said we've gotten tons and tons and tons of phone calls and congratulations and greatly appreciate it. And it's I told somebody the other day that he'd been a loyal fan for years. Aww. And I would make sure if he needed something done, I'd squeeze it into my schedule one way or another, because the schedule obviously gets kind of insane.
Well, we all love that there's a new thing coming in for you, because that way we know that you're not going anywhere. We don't want to let go of you either.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, Holiday Wars was something else. I mean, it's first of all, I'm going to stay in Princeton. I'm not moving to LA anytime soon.
Oh, thank goodness.
I was not the biggest fan of LA, but the show itself, I mean, people don't realize that no matter how long you're there, you're basically sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night and working
really?
sun up to sundown.
Wow.
And there's a lot of prep that goes into before the show airs or before it films. And
do you take your own utensils, or have they got
oh,
all
yeah.
that there?
No, I mean, I packed, I think, 4 suitcases at 50 pounds apiece with me. So
wow, they don't provide all of that. You have to take your own.
No, and as a cake artist, it's like a lot of other things. You get certain things that you're used to using, and to go somewhere else and use something different. It's bad enough I couldn't pack my stove with me because using their stove was a whole other ball game.
Because all ovens and stoves, they all cook just a little different, right?
Yeah, and I don't, in my little tiny bakery that I have now, I don't have a commercial convection oven, so having that commercial convection oven there, it's a totally different ball game.
Well, and when you think about it, even the humidity can be different. The elevation, all of that stuff can really
absolutely. It was so dry there compared to here. So, LA is a totally different climate. So, all that plays into it. And then, we had that extra caveat of I work by myself. I do my cakes by myself.
Oh,
I don't work with 2 other cake artists. So, that's a whole nother ball game of change. And of course, I think that's
you're not at home. You don't have your support system right there with you either.
They do it on purpose. They get their ratings off of the drama that comes in
I
stressful situations with multiple personalities.
So tell the truth. How many times did you throw a fist? We want to know.
Well, I think most of my fit throws will be not aired because most of them contained language Food Network won't put on.
There you go. Because I'm telling you, at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, if I don't have any sleep, I'm going to throw a fit about something. I promise you I will.
Well, and I think the most exciting thing that happened when I was there was when I shoved a drill through my hand, and it's not caught on camera. My kids were devastated. They really wanted me to bleed on camera.
You put a drill through your hand?
Well, I was screwing something, and it was a screw bit on the drill, not a drill bit. But yeah, I put it right through my hand. It's you get in a rush and you don't think about things you normally do, and I
don't think about building a cake with a drill. I don't think about none of that.
But I said even stuff you do on a regular basis, and if you're going to stack more than 3 layers of cake, you've got to have support in it, and you'll get 6 layers high and go, oh, I didn't put my supports in,
and that's too late.
It's you get. The time clock is real. It's there, and it's over your head, and it's ticking the whole time.
How do you move those things? That's what because that is heavy.
Yeah.
And I know you've got several team members, but especially,
if you've watched Halloween Wars, then you know that they go onto a huge base, which doesn't get moved. But each individual piece is put on the base. Now, that doesn't mean that some of those individual pieces didn't take 4 of us to move. I mean, some of them were individually heavy on their own. But
so do you always like everything everybody else is putting on there?
No, not always.
Did you tell the truth? I mean, when somebody else has done something and they're adding it to the cake and they think it's perfect and you're in a team thing, do you say,
it depends on
where much.
Depends on where you're at in the timeline. If you're 5 minutes to the end, it doesn't matter. It's going on the cake.
If I tried to do an elf, it'd look like Satan. So I'm pretty sure.
Well, I was, and I said I was lucky. I had 2 other very good cake artists. I think my biggest regret on the show, if you want to call it a regret, it's not even really that, but. One of the cake artists that I competed with had been on multiple Food Network shows, the judges knew her and they loved her sculpting work, her face work.
Right.
So as a cake artist, I would prefer to do the sculpting and faces, but they love her. So, do you play to win or do you play to showcase your talents? So, there's times when you had to take a back seat and play to win. And I don't feel like I got to showcase some of my sculpting as well as I would have liked to.
Did you fan out just a little bit? Were you kind of deer in the headlights when you seen a couple of them that you had seen on there before?
Well, we competed against a couple that I had seen before, and as soon as you see that you're competing against them, you're like, oh no, because they're fantastic. No, the biggest one for me was one of the judges. It was Jason Smith.
I wondered about that.
He's from Kentucky, and he won Food Network Star a few years back.
Wow.
And
when you competed against him?
No, he was a judge.
Oh, I started to say, oh my goodness, throw down.
Yeah, well, no, he was a judge, but I had a inkling that he might be a judge. You'll see that in the first episode. There was an inkling there that he might be a judge, and we maybe needed to lean toward Kentucky on a few things.
So, host-wise, can you tell us anything, like, as far as who the host?
Jonathan Bennett was the host, and he's the host of all the Halloween Wars, too. He's fantastic. I mean, he's hysterical. The guy is funny, and there's some things you don't see, when they don't show you that shows a little bit more personality. I told my husband it was one of the episodes during the elimination day. He walked in with his phone in his back pocket playing Another One Bites the Dust. And you're like, seriously? I mean, that's his personality. And then, so he's the host, is Jonathan Bennett. And then we had Jason Smith and Shinmin Lee as our judges. So,
wow. Which judge is the hardest? Which one is like the Simon Cowell of cakes? Which one is it?
Well, we didn't have the Simon Cowell of cakes.
Uh-oh.
Both of our judges, they're both super nice people. It's funny because, of course, like I said, I haven't been on a show before.
Right.
But the other contestants had been on the shows before, and they were like, they're going to say 200 things about your cake, and 3 are going to make air. So, and then we could tell. We filmed for 5 hours straight during competition, and that didn't include our walk-ons and our introductions and all that, which all goes into that show. So when you condense all of 5 hours on the big competition and 45 minutes on the small one and everything in between to an hour-long show, there's a lot being cut out.
Yeah.
So
like drills in the hand.
Yeah, like drills in the hand. That was on a prep day, because you do like a show day and then you do a prep day, and that was during prep day, so there's no cameras.
You missed it, though. That'd have been great for the Halloween show.
Oh, it would have been fantastic. Actually, there were comments made about how that should have been on the Halloween show. And it shouldn't have been bad. I hit the palm of my hand, but I hit a vein.
Oh,
so it was everywhere. It was bad.
Are you better now?
I am. I have a nice little scar, but it's
that's your souvenir then,
It's my souvenir. That's right.
Think you ever do it again?
I would love to. I would like to go. I think they just announced. I think I'm allowed to say it. Actually, I know they just announced it, so I am allowed to say it. The original Cake Wars is coming back.
Oh.
And Cake Wars was what I started on Cake Wars. I loved Cake Wars. Cake Wars showcases your individual bakery. Mm-hmm. So once we get established in the new building and I've got a secondary baker with me, I would love to go back and compete on Cake Wars, where you showcase your own bakery. I think that'd be fantastic.
We're so proud of you. We really are.
Thank you.
I don't know if you realize how proud your community is of you and how happy we are for you.
I've gotten a lot of support. I've had a lot of support for years, but we've gotten a lot of people who are I think they're as excited as I am to watch it. So,
well, it's fun. And for these kids locally to be able to see, somebody that they know and somebody that, has brought the cupcakes to school before.
Yeah.
And now suddenly they're on TV. They're like, hey, she did it. And if she can do it, why can't I do it?
Well, and a lot of them, it's like, she made my 3rd birthday cake. She made my 4th birthday cake. It's kind of cool to say, hey, somebody who was on Food Network made my cake,
I think that's neat. And we do actually have a culinary class and that sort of thing up here.
Yep.
That the kids can get involved in.
Marshall County Culinary, the teacher at Marshall County High School called me last week, and they're bringing their culinary students in today.
Oh, wow.
For them to meet me and kind of see my old store, see the new store, and kind of give those kids what you were talking about, that look. I don't have a culinary background, but I've made it work, and I've worked hard and accomplished things, and they're bringing them in so they can see it. I think I'd love to do the same thing for our culinary school, those students here.
I think over the years we've lost back in the day, I think that they had a lot more excitement and respect, and a lot more people said, you know what, I want to work with my hands, and that's a really great profession. And I think that, maybe with computers and stuff, we've kind of gotten away from saying, I want to work with my hands. I want to be creative. I want to make something.
Right.
I don't want to work on a computer.
Well,
and that's okay.
I said with our with us going into our new store, that's what I put out. I put it out last week. A call. I need a full-time baker to come in with me.
I saw that, and I almost said, hey. I can't do it full time, but can I just come in and sit around?
I said, even if it's somebody who doesn't necessarily bake, an artist is what I'm looking for, because an artist, and like you were talking about earlier, they have that tendency towards art anyway. Those tend to be the people that make the best cake artists.
Well, and I'll tell you, I just think that that's awesome, because I'm hoping that what that does is it encourages our kids to be creative and, say, hey, I'd like to work with my hands. And maybe it's not baking, maybe it's something else, maybe it's another. But we've got a technical school up here that is
Absolutely.
Phenomenal, and I wish more people would use it.
Absolutely. And I think they said, nationwide, there's a huge shortage in some of those
Right.
technical skills and people to fill those roles.
But I think people like you, doing that and making that jump and doing it and being successful, I think is, will make that where it seems possible to more kids.
Well, I hope so. I mean, we do what we can. I pretty much said, we'll make it work. You're going.
How do you say no to that? Can't.
No, and I knew, but you had that whole mom guilt. I was going to be
Right.
gone for the
yeah.
the first significant amount of school, and there's a whole lot of. And my kids are crazy busy. I was Adley's first year in middle school softball, and I missed the first 4 games. So
How many boxes of tissue did you go through?
Like there's things on your phone now where you can watch those games from afar.
Right.
And
Right. Hey,
when I wasn't
WPKYonline.com.
when I wasn't actively involved in being elbows deep in cake, I was watching and following as much as I could. So
No, I'll tell you, but that's the mom guilt part of the whole thing,
there
and
is,
I
yeah.
know you had to have really went through that, and bless your heart. I'm so glad that you did it, and I'm glad that you can come back
my
and tell us
son,
all about it.
Right before I left, my son said, "I hope you lose in the first episode so you can come home."
Aw.
Thanks, kid. But yeah, you get a little guilty. Now I think they were excited once I got there, but leaving they weren't so sure they wanted me to go.
Well,
So-
that's kind of a catch-22. You want mom to succeed, and you want mom, but then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that means she's got to go to California.
Right. Yeah, it was something else, but I don't know. Like I said, we have awesome staff at Taco John's. I did shut down the bakery for a little while because it was too much. Because I'm the only one that does the baking and designing and stuff in there. There was no way to do that. I had an amazing customer that I literally had to make her cake a week in advance and freeze it.
Oh,
And
bless
she
your
had to
heart.
get instructions on how to pull it out and thaw it because she would not go into anybody else. And I gave her the choice. I'll give you your money back. You can go to someone else. I'll find you someone. No, she wanted one of my cakes.
I love that though. We like what we like, and we like Cathy Lewis, and we appreciate you being here this morning.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So, Cray,
y'all
thank
having
you
me.
again for letting us borrow her this morning, and because I'm sure they're probably soaking up all the time they can with you, and we sure do appreciate it. We want you to come back when we can start, talking about what happened.
Absolutely. So it airs December 1st, 8 our time, 9/8 Central. So that is a Sunday night. It's the same time frame that the Halloween the Halloween Wars always aired in. So December 1st is the first one. Sunday night at 8 our time. And it'll air for 4 full weeks.
Oh,
so
wow.
it'll air through the Sunday before Christmas.
That is fantastic. Well, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of watch parties around. So stay tuned for that. You might get one from here. You never know. Hey, it's 1580 103.3 WPKY and Coffee Talk. And Ty's going to hate that he wasn't here this morning. But both of us have put in our applications to be official testers anytime you need it.
Sure, absolutely.
See, buddy, I didn't leave you out. Hey, it's Tess and Ty. Stick around. We're gonna check in, or try to, with Ty here in just a few minutes at 1580 103.3 WPKY. Well, we are going to try to check in with Ty. And Ty, what do you got going on over there at Trice? Are you there?
What about it, Tess? Well, there you go. Looky there. Now, before I get started, Tess, I want everybody to know this is going to be a perfect phone call. And so I got the if we need the transcript, we can. But this phone call is going to be perfect. I tell you, the home team at Trice has done it again. I'm privileged to be in this Ram 1500 Rebel Crew Cab 4x4. This baby is loaded up. Man, every time I drive something, I'm like, well, I got to have one of these. From the to Camaros. But I'm telling you, this 1500 2020 Rebel is it. It's a crew cab 4x4. And I'm telling you, it's got the big V8 Hemi e-torque engine, 8-speed automatic transmission. Man, electronic. They got a huge touchscreen in here. I tell my dad's always talking about cars. I said, man, all these new cars are like being in an airplane cockpit. They are. This thing is just beautiful on touchscreen here. We're talking, it's got the Sirius XM ready, all your plug-ins, all your bells and whistles for all your electronic gear. But the neat thing about this particular one is it's got the customer preferred package, and this is kind of a special equipment. Apple CarPlay, of course, Google, Android, automatic, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, power adjustable pedals. How about that? Floating mirrors, rear defrosters, the Rebel hood decal, and it's on the side. This baby's got a 33-gallon fuel tank. Just fill it up and just take off and just keep passing gas stations. Of course, Wi-Fi ready, Uconnect, trailer brake control, park sensors, all your backup cameras, Tess. I mean, this baby is bad to the bone. We need to play some George Thorogood after this because it's just absolutely a stunning vehicle to drive.
Well, I'll tell you what, the moment you said Hemi, I was sold.
I'm telling you, everything's on the steering wheel. I mean, you got your cruise control, your gear limit. You can talk on your phone. It's Bluetooth ready. You can keep your hands on the wheel, drive down the road. It's got the spin dial, where you don't have to, when you put it into gear and park and reverse, it's just a little dial here. Same way, just a button to go into four-wheel drive. It's got four-wheel drive low, of course, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive high. It's just a pleasure to ride, and I'm telling you, it rides like a dream. You can adjust these seats and just kick back. Take it for the long haul or take it for the short haul. It is something that the home team has us in today. You can check it out at Tri-Shoes. It's a 2020 Ram 1500 Rebel 4x4. It is waiting for you. Tri-Shoes 91 North. Home team, go check it out today.
Well, I'll tell you, those crew cabs, the one thing I love about those, Ty, is that, when you've got a kids, and you and I both know what this is like. You've got the football gear, you've got the dance gear, you've got the drums, you've got all of these things. And right now my daughter is playing drums and guitar at the same time. So then I've got both of them, and she's got a big bass drum. So when you've got to do that and you've got 3 kids, Eli plays basketball, you have got stuff. And I'm not saying, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're hauling horses, cows, or hay. Ty, I've got 3 kids, and I got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, this thing will haul stuff, whether you're going to put it back into the bed or if you're going to just put it in the crew cab. And speaking of stuff, it could be people stuff. This thing will fit several back here in this big, spacious crew cab. So whether you're going, again, just to the ball game, doing farm work, or going on the long ride, you can do it in comfort in this Ram 1500 and that 33-gallon tank. Guess what? You're going to pass a few gas stations. The gas mileage is great, and with that 33-gallon tank, you can just keep on cruising, Tess.
I'll tell you what, I think probably one of my favorite parts about it, you and I were talking about it this morning. I like the fact, and again, Cathy and I were talking about that. I love the fact not only is it a beautiful, beautiful truck with all the bells and whistles, but you know what? It's from people that are local, that know my name. They know you when you walk in. They're friendly, and you're talking to somebody that you've probably known for 20 years when you walk in.
No doubt about it, Tess. And on top of that, the service department is fantastic. So, when you buy the vehicle there, you know what? You can take it back and rest assured that the quality parts people there and the service people there are going to service this baby perfectly and keep it in fine running order. And I tell you, that means a lot when you go in there and you're treated wonderfully. You can't say enough about the home team at Tri-Shoes. And, boy, I think they're getting smart, though. They're not putting a lot of gas in these things to prevent me just from taking off and just driving around forever. So I'm heading back to Tri-Shoes on 91 North. Come by and check out this beautiful silver and black Dodge 1500 4x4 Rebel. It's waiting for you at Tri-Shoes, Tess.
I tell you what, come on back home, Ty. It sounds like that truck's got my name on it, I do believe. Hey, if you're like me and you love a nice big pickup truck, if you love all of the bells and whistles and the tailgate, the new features of all of that, and that cockpit feel like what Ty's talking about, where it just kind of wraps around you. If you're like me, it's getting cold. You don't want to have to go out and lock in your four-wheel drive on the hubs when you've got ice on the ground. You don't want to have to do a lot of these things. You want better gas mileage. There's a lot of that. They'd tell you, hey, you're not going to be able to eat your cake and, have your cake and eat it too. But hey, Cathy says, yes, you can. You go right over there to Tri-Shoes and they're going to hook you up. If they don't have what you're looking for, I find that hard to believe. But if they don't, hey, all you got to do is real quick, fill out, tell them what you want. They're going to find it for you. You don't have to leave the house. Check out their inventory without ever leaving the house. TriShoesGM.com. Or if you're like me and you love to drool right there on those vehicles in person, face to face, visit the dealership on Highway 91 North in Princeton. Trice wants your business, so give Trice a try. 270-896-0753. Hey, it's Tess and Ty in 1580 103.3 WPKY.